Hi, I'm Jania, and welcome to Jania's Voice, where I give advice and tips on voiceover, narration, and singing. If you like my video, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and make sure to like the video because you can refer back to it later. It's a lot easier. And also for you, if a commercial comes up, listen to the commercial for the voiceover. If there's no voiceover in the commercial, skip it. Other than that, you should listen to the voiceover in the commercial. All right, we are talking about the pros and cons of being an audiobook narrator. Ooh, that's a big one. ACX, as you all probably know, if you're here on this video, they hire different narrators and producers to read books for a lot of different authors. A lot of the authors are independent. The majority of the authors are independent. If you don't use ACX, there are different publishing houses and stuff that are also hiring narrators to read their books and bring them to life. They're not always looking for you to edit the books, the other publishing houses, but ACX, you probably be the narrator and the editor, meaning that you are the producer of the audiobook. Okay, so let's just go on into it. And I'm going to keep referring to this. Some of the pros of being an audiobook narrator. It is beginner friendly. So if you're just starting out on your voice work journey, getting an audiobook can be relatively easy to do it. They have on ACX, I'm going to use ACX in particular because that's super easy to get on. acx.com. It's a part of Amazon. You literally can just go and make a profile and become a narrator, editor, and do a bunch of different auditions. But you need to get some equipment. But anyway, what you would do is go and you can pick the books that you like the most and see what they're offering us in terms of pay. And then you can choose which ones that fits you the best, do the audition, and submit it. And you just do that a lot. You just keep going through books because they have thousands and thousands of books up there. And you just figure out what you want to do, whether it be a fiction or nonfiction. Choose whatever you want. And then you go ahead and have your audition and submit it. If you get a booking for a book, which more than likely, I can't say, it's a good chance you'll get at least one book doing that. So let's say you do 15 auditions, you might get one, but you could get 7. So you have to figure that out. So it's very beginner friendly being an audiobook narrator for ACX in particular. So that's a pro. Number 2 is there's always work. There's so many titles on ACX. You can literally spend all day long looking through all the titles. There's so many. You can break everything down. They have categories and you can say, oh, well, I want to do stuff with a British accent, or I want to do self-help books, or whatever it is. You can break it all down and say, this is what I want to do. I want to do sci-fi books, whatever. And there are so many titles, so many books. There's always work. There's always work. And another pro to being an audiobook narrator is you can bring the books to life. Even if it's a self-help book, a nonfiction book, you can still bring that book to life. That's a lot of reasons why listeners want to listen to audiobooks, because they want someone to read it to them. They want to absorb the information in the book by listening to it instead of reading it oftentimes. And if you're engaging and you bring that book to life, they're not only going to like even if they don't like the book, they like you, and they're going to seek you out on Audible. They're going to type in your name and they're going to listen to all of your books. This happens a lot with me. If someone likes my audiobooks, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a nonfiction book or a fiction book, and they'll put in my name and they'll go look at all the titles that I've read and they'll go listen to them, even if it's something that they don't necessarily want to hear. They just want to hear how I'm going to read it. So yeah, it's nice to bring a book to life and your way, so you can be creative in that way and bring a book to life. That to me is a pro. I love bringing books to life. That's the best part. And another pro for doing audiobooks is, by the time you've produced a few audiobooks, you're going to be a pro at editing. If you decide to edit your books, you're going to be a pro at it, because it takes so much time to edit. You're going to know how you want to format a book that you get. If you land another gig of being a narrator, you're going to know how you want to lay that book out. If you want to read the whole book first and then kind of go through characters or whatever it is, and then when it comes to editing, you're going to know, I'll take out this background noise, or whatever it is. You're going to know how to edit that book like this. And then from there, if you say you want to go into voiceover, editing a voiceover for an audition is going to be easy peasy, lemon squeeze. It's so easy. Way easier than doing an audiobook. So you're going to be an expert at editing audio. If you've done a few audiobooks, you're going to be an expert. So that is a pro. Now let's get into the cons. The cons of being an audiobook narrator. So the entire process of doing one audiobook can be exhausting. It can be very, 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 very long. And the editing is the longest. Staying with a book and its characters, or a book and whatever subject matter it is, for weeks and weeks and weeks can be hard. But you have to be extremely disciplined and commit to reading that book and producing that book, because whoever hired you, uh, that's what they hired you for. It's hard. It's long. It can be a very, very long process. And the longer amount of uh, finished hours that the book calls for, the longer the process. So if you're doing a book that the finished hour is 4 hours, it's going to take you a long time. If you're doing a book that's the finished hour is 1 hour, it's not going to take you as long, but it's not going to take you 1 hour to finish that book. It's going to take you a couple days or longer to finish that book. So that's one of the biggest cons, is that the process of doing an audiobook can be extremely long. Okay, this con is probably the most frustrating for me, and that's working with uptight authors or rights holders. These are the ones that expect for you to be done as soon as they upload the book to you. They want you to be done immediately. Or they're very, 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 very nitpicky. And it's good for them to want what they want. But if they're too nitpicky, they can be unrealistic. And there are authors that don't respect the process of doing the audiobook. They feel like they've done the hardest part, and they don't really respect the process of getting a book, reading the book, understanding the book, doing research. Say there's certain words in there that are in a different language, where you have to not only search that word to understand what it means, but you have to also search that word for the proper pronunciation. So there's lots of things, and I've had to do that several times with names, and not in fiction books, with names that are not familiar to me, like Tom or George. It's something completely different, and you have to contact the author to, how do you say this name? So there's a lot that goes into doing that. And then once you're in there, wherever you're reading the book, and in my case it's in here, you're in here for hours and hours and hours, and then you got to go eat, because your stomach will start growling, and then that gets on the audio, and you got to redo that whole section. So you have to live within chapters. You got to go live. So authors don't always, not, there are some authors that don't always understand that their writing is important, but so is your work as a narrator and producer. So that could be a con, working with people that sometimes have unrealistic expectations. Another con is that the pay can be very, very, very low. Especially when you're just starting out, the pay can be very low. And let's be real, you can't ask for $75,000 per finished hour if this is your first book. So you're going to have to take, sometimes, not all the time, but oftentimes you have to take lower pay when you're just starting out. And you just use that for learning, just use that as you're getting paid to learn. But yeah, so that's a con, low pay. So those are my pros and cons of being an audiobook narrator. Say you go and you do all these things or whatever, and you're reading and you are not booking any audiobooks, or you're not booking as much as you'd want to book. I am offering voice lessons for audiobook narrators, voiceover artists, and singers. And it's a little different from maybe other lessons, but I'm offering that. The info is in the description. Some of you guys were asking about it, and I didn't do it for a while. And my curriculum is pretty strong now, so I'm doing it now. So if you want to have a session with me, go ahead and contact me and we'll set that up. And that will be great. And I would love to work with you. I think it'll be awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you in the next video. Okay. Bye.
I don't know what they told you about me. All I can do is show you. Do you wanna see? I don't know what they told.
Side note, this microphone, you guys are going to have to let me know if you like this microphone or not, because I just got it and I don't know if I love it. It sounds good, but I don't know. And I'm so picky. But I wanted to at least try it out. Anyway, back to the video.